You want to bring us over? Good evening. It is 7:31. We are going to go into our meeting. We'll do the pledge and then we'll continue with the meeting.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Also, you said you spoke to Aaron Zimmerman earlier?
Trustee Fritchie,
Present.
Okay.
trustee White. Present. Trustee Casada
Present.
and Mayor Levin.
Present.
Tonight we'll start off with public hearings, a public hearing for the proposed local law to 2024 entitled A Local Law Amending Chapter 1, Article 3, General Provisions, General Penalty for the Village of Ossining Code. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak on the public hearing tonight? Seeing no one in the room, is there anyone on Zoom that wishes to speak on the public hearing? And please raise your virtual hand.
There is no one on the meeting that's participating.
Okay. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So move.
All in
Any-
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, public hearing number 2, public hearing on a local law amending chapter 194, peace and good order, general ordinances and for quality of life. On chapter 190 of Parks and Recreation of the Village of Ossining Code. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak on that public hearing this evening? Okay, seeing no one in the room, is there anyone in the virtual world that would like to speak?
No.
Thank you. May I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So move.
Second. Any comments? Sue?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mayor and trustee announcement.
Okay, do we have announcements? Let me go to my right. Trustee White.
I just wanted to talk about Miguel Hernandez, who passed away recently. A lot of you knew Miguel. He was a longtime resident of the village. He was an elected official. He was a trustee, and he was mayor for a time. He was actually the first Hispanic mayor in the state of New York. I knew him through local history. He gave great programs and tours. He loved Ossining history and he loved Ossining. He's originally from Puerto Rico. He came to New York when he was 5. And he was a lifelong learner and presence in the village. And our hearts go out to his wife, Tam, and his family.
Thank you. Did you want to add anything to that?
Thank you, Dana. Thank you, Dana, for that. A lot of people, that's just a little bit of what Miguel did for the village of Austin and the residents. It was more than that, obviously. He was very involved in different committees, the cemetery, conservation, conservatory. He was one of the founding members of that. The hayride, some point in the village, he was actually one of the very scary characters on the field itself, and it was just interesting to see the funny side of Miguel as well as the serious side of Miguel. So I give all my condolence to his family. It was unfortunately that actually his sister passed away as well this year, not too long ago. So his neighbor Pedro, brother-in-law Miguel, my condolences goes to his family. Thank you.
Okay, Bob, anything? Okay, I'm looking something up because there was something that a community member wanted me to okay. I only sort of received questions about when the banners are going to be going down and when the program starts again. So do we have information about that so we can just let the public know? Do you know?
You want me to answer that?
Yeah, Jamie, go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry, I have to fix it.
Jamie, go ahead.
I'm sorry, there was something wrong with the Zoom up here. The banners are going to be coming down around a couple of days after Veterans Day, and then the program is going to open up for people to register for new banners that will be raised next year around Memorial Day.
Okay, so.
So
I think
it's also
everybody-
going to
so
be.
This is about the veterans, the banners that we started that program this year. And the program, we seem to be very happy with it. And we're going to continue the program, and you'll be getting lots of information about that. Because I think because Veterans Day is in a couple of weeks, I think that's what sort of,
Mhm.
these flags do
It's-
not do well in the snow and the sleet and the rain. They don't last long if you keep them out. So the village staff will very generously be going through all of them, putting them down. Most municipalities do not stand there and store them for people, but we are doing that. We think it's just a kind service to the community. So really pleased with that. I did write also about the e-bike share program, which we're doing very well with, of all the 15 municipalities involved with this vendor. We have the sort of biggest numbers, which is why we put the numbers in the mayor's message. And the response has been really great. I've also been asked to remind the public that there are many lawn signs being put up and lots of other material out in the public to inform the public about the various political figures and candidates from both parties, or it could be three parties, that are running for office. Those lawn signs that are on private property, they're on people's lawns. It is against the law to remove those signs because it's against the law to trespass on private property and remove those signs. The police see you, they are ordered to arrest you. Do not go on people's private property. Don't remove any of the signs. They don't do any harm and they're not yours. So leave them alone. If you see people like your neighbors doing them, tell them to stop doing it. It's no different than going on anybody's property and stealing something. So there's been a bit of a rash in a couple of neighborhoods. If you're caught, you're going to be ticketed and possibly arrested. So I think that's the announcement for that. And now we're going to go to the announcements. So
Village Manager, Karen Tatori.
Good evening, everyone.
good evening.
So not only nearly Halloween, it's also we're in the midst of budget season. We will complete our department head budget meetings this week. And we'll be preparing the manager's proposed 2025 budget to be presented to the board and the public on November 6th. We're working very closely with our department heads, as well as looking at individual department needs, as well as holistically how those needs work together. So we really are focused on understanding how we capitalize on a lot of the good things we have going on. We have a lot of grants. We also have a lot of grants that require additional capital investment. So we're looking at that. We're looking at ways to garner efficiencies throughout the village. And we look forward to presenting that budget. In the meantime, however, we have several Halloween events planned. The Haunted Kill is going to be this Friday night, starting at 6 p.m. You will be able to walk the kill and be prepared. It is an event for those who like to be scared, not for young children. We recommend nobody younger than 13 or nobody who really doesn't like that type of stuff. But it'll be a fun evening for all at the community center. Then on Saturday, you can be ready for the Shredder event, which is not a scary Halloween event. It is actually a paper shredding event. County Shredder, Mobile Shredder will be here from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturday at the community center as well. On October 25th from 6 to 9, we'll have Pumpkin Patch. We'll prop up at Nelson Park, as well as a special Halloween hayride. And on October 26th at 10 a.m. on the waterfront, we will have a Halloween pet parade. So bring your pet and their costume and be prepared to walk along the waterfront with your pets in costume.
Today, Maddie Zahach, Assistant Village Manager, myself and Jamie Hoffman, our Community Relations Director, attended the Municipal Association, Municipal Administrators Association meeting. Con Edison, the Westchester Director of Regional and Community Affairs, Jane Solnick, was there, and along with her team. And they spoke a lot about storm preparedness and gave us updates on their system-wide improvements to be more responsive and better prepared during emergencies and disasters. And updating managers, village managers, administrators, and other relevant village staff on their efforts to continue improve the ability to be responsive during any sort of natural disaster occurrences where there's a power outage. And that leads me to some good news about our staff. We have a very talented staff here. They do many, many things and serve many functions here at the village, but occasionally they also serve functions beyond the village. Maddie Zahach was elected as Secretary Treasurer to the Municipal Administrators Association this year. And Chima Monday is now the first Vice President of the Hudson Valley Association for Youth Bureaus, which functions as the Regional Youth Bureau Liaison to the Governor's Office. So join me in congratulating Maddie and Chima.
Very nice. Well, Austin gets up there right to the governor. Like that.
Corporation Counsel, Stuart Kahan.
Thank you, Sue. We are proceeding apace with foils. We are now up to just under 850 for the year, which will crack 1,000. There's little doubt about that. As I've said before, the foils are actually getting more complicated. Some of the ones to OPD become rather lengthy in terms of requests for body cams and requests for reports. Many are going to the planning department. But I want to say, and I've said this before, but I'll say it again, the response from each of the departments is really superb. They get the stuff out quickly, and they know the rules well in terms of how to do things, but there is no end in sight to the number of foils or the increasing number of foils that we get, no matter, what we may try. They keep coming in.
And how's that against last year? Remind me again.
We're at 850. I have to look at last year. We're close to last year. I'd say we're probably running about 50 ahead of last year at this point. So,
Okay.
And last year we came just under 1,000, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
So I think this year we'll.
So it's
probably
about the same. It's a little bit more, but
It is, but they're
more
you're not-
complex.
Yeah, you're not seeing just, let me see what let me get the certificate of occupancy for this building.
You're not getting as many building.
You're getting a lot of requests. For example, we get from companies that want to see all of the building permits for 6 months, that deal with solar, and which the building department has basically geared themselves to get these on a regular basis. We get a lot of requests for voucher reports. We get a lot of requests for vendor reports. And the folks upstairs have been great about that. Police get a huge number of requests for reports, many of which come in Spanish and have to be translated. And a large number of those reports want body cameras, or they want the full police reports. And so it's lengthy requests. It's rare, you rarely get a request now for one item. It's multiple items within one FOIL request. So but our response time is excellent. And, on a few occasions, myself included, we have to ask for a little bit more time, particularly when they're asking for emails or things like that. But they all get out, knock on wood. This year, I think we've had only 4 appeals with regard to FOIL requests. So the responses do get out, but they, and I do want to particularly thank Jamie Kane, Lori McDonald, those folks over, and everybody who's doing it at the building and planning end, because they do a very good turnaround. I mean, they just basically get it, they get it out. Many of the requests are really from realtors, but they need all that information, particularly when they're closing the next day. And suddenly they need that. So that's been going on.
I thought that for the realtors, the online system was supposed
No,
to
because
resolve a lot of
They
this.
need essentially a certification of what's there. So the they are aware of the online system. We tell them about the online system.
We'll get
And
them to
dis-
use it.
And
too.
despite that, they still make a request. We want the entire building file for this. Particularly on some of the older properties where there may be an open permit that has to be cleared. They're suddenly seeing that. So
Well, that's not a bad thing, actually. That's a good thing.
It is. It makes everyone a little bit better at that. So we're
Right.
doing that. From my end, we are working rapidly to get to the closing for the properties down at Water Street, which is now known as Station Plaza. The escrow closing, which is the bank closing, is scheduled for Friday. Permits have been issued and are being held in escrow at this time. And we are in the process of reviewing the final closing documents now, getting some of them signed, and expect that everything will ultimately shake out. But been a lot of people reviewing a lot of documents over a small number of days, but we are just about there. So thanks.
Okay.
Police Chief Aaron Zimmerman.
Good evening. Couple things. Again, Halloween's coming up, so it's a busy night for children and it gets dark early now. So everyone please drive carefully, and for all you parents out there, try your best to have your kids in maybe something reflective and keep them out of the street, please. New York Women in Law Enforcement Annual Training Conference is going on right now. We have 2 representatives from the department, Officer Casa and Officer Martinez, are attending on our behalf. So that's pretty cool. We have a few events coming up with the Police Reform Advisory Committee. There's a stakeholder meeting tomorrow night at 7 p.m. That's at the library. Tuesday, the 22nd, we're actually starting our first sector meetings. What that means is the village and town are broken up into different police sectors, sectors 1 through 6. So there's a meeting on Tuesday, the 22nd of this month at 7 p.m. at the Star of Bethlehem Church, which is at 304 Spring Street. And that is going to be a meeting for anybody who lives in sectors 1, 2, and 3. There is a sector map posted on the village website that you can look at to see where it is exactly what sector you fall in if you'd like to attend. On Thursday, the 24th, back to back, 7 p.m. at the Grace Episcopal Church, affectionately known as St. Paul's on the Hill, 40 Ganong Drive. That's for sectors 4, 5, and 6. Sectors 5 and 6 are the town sectors, sectors 1 through 4 being village sectors. So looking forward to seeing how that turns out. Also, finally got around to getting National Night Out done. That was a success. It was, even though it had to be delayed due to weather the first time around in August, did it at the high school, and it was a nice night in October. Bunch of hamburgers, hot dogs, face painting, some activities for the kids. The PAL helped us out with supplying a movie for the children. So it was, it watched Transylvania 2, I think. So nobody was disappointed.
I happen to like that movie.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So that's all I got.
Okay. So,
Moving on to organizational announcements. Announcements must be event related only and no longer than 2 minutes in length. Is there anyone here that does an organization? Seeing no one, is there anyone online that wishes to do on the Zoom that wishes to do an organizational announcement?
Not at this time.
Thank you. Public comment on agenda items. Visitors are accorded a 1 4-minute opportunity to address the board on any of the resolutions on the agenda. It's not on the agenda, right? Okay. Seeing no one here, is there anyone in the Zoom world that wishes to speak on an agenda item?
Yes, there is. First,
Okay.
we have Brian Granoff. Mr. Granoff, I'm going to bring you over. If you can turn on your camera, that would be great. And your microphone. Thank you.
and how many minutes?
4 minutes.
Okay. I'm not able to do the time here. Or is someone,
Yeah.
I see him.
thank you, Sue.
Oh, there he is. Hey, Brian. What do you need to
He's gonna
do?
do
Oh,
the-
You need to
okay.
unmute
Got it.
Ryan.
Amy, we got it here.
I only have 4 minutes, so I'll go quickly. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for all that great work that you always do on an ongoing basis on behalf of the residents of Austining. My name is Brian Granoff. I'm an owner and landlord at 11 Garden Street. Just want to state for the record, I'm a board member on the Austining Village Zoning Board of Appeals. Open communication and collaboration with local government officials is one of the things I really love about living in Austining. That really separated from New York City, from where I'm from originally. I'm requesting a pause to the process of making Linden Avenue a one-way. This feels like a rob Peter to pay Paul situation. I believe that moving cars from Linden Avenue will increase noise and pollution on Dale, Terrace, and potentially Garden Street, where I live, and my tenants and all the neighborhoods, many children on the streets every day. All of our houses and yards are also very close to the street. So this is very important to me and to many people here. Safety of the drivers in 38 accidents should not come at the expense of hundreds that live here in these streets, the children that play on these streets, and the sidewalk nearly every day. This is our air quality. We should not have to breathe in more cancer-causing fumes. Cars are proven to let out emissions that cause cancer and other health issues. This is why I moved away from New York City, for fresh air. And so many of my neighbors agree. I asked the board to please provide more data. Has anyone been hit at this intersection? What's the percent of accidents that resulted in injury, death? Why is there zero follow-up regarding Trustee Omar Lopez's traffic study request from the first time this was proposed? This doesn't feel right. Your word as politicians that represent the people should come first. Why was there no follow-up there? In New York City, anytime there's a change to a traffic flow, the community board is always part of the process. There has been no community input. And why has a traffic study been required to make Yale Avenue a one-way, but not for Linden Avenue, where many Austining residents would agree that Yale Avenue is in dire need of being a one-way? This inconsistency sets a precedent that the village is not being fair. This all erodes our trust between residents and us of Austining and our elected officials, which I know you normally create so much trust between us and you as elected officials. I'm asking Mayor Levin and the board to please consider to take a few steps back to recognize that open communication and collaboration have not happened in this process. I'm requesting a local law that requires the following when making changes to traffic flow: send out notices and get community input. The village is always usually superb at this and engaging the public in new changes. A traffic study, secondly, before changing the traffic flow. I'm not sure why this was discussed and requested by one of my local elected officials, and then all of a sudden, it was as if it was never proposed. That really erodes trust and does not reflect well on the board. So a traffic study before changing the traffic flow is important. A public hearing before making these changes as well. These are our streets and we deserve to have a say. None of my neighbors on Terrace and Dale Avenues that I discussed this with are aware. We need to do better as a village and better connect government with the people. The residents of Austining need to be more involved, and I ask the mayor and trustees to lead that undertaking, to better involve the public. Open communication and transparency starts with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Did you want to say something? You're reaching, oh, you're turning it off. Okay. Is there any other comments on this? This is on the agenda.
Yeah. Do we have any other buddy that wants to comment on this?
Yes, I'm going to be bringing over Jennifer Cabrera. Jennifer, if you could turn on your microphone and your camera. Thank you.
I'm not seeing her.
I know it's not working. It's going to take a moment.
Okay.
There we are.
I see her name.
Jennifer, if you can unmute. Thank you.
Hi, I was actually coming to comment on another item on the agenda.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if that's what you're doing because it's open for both. Okay, hold that thought for a minute. Let's do
Can
one
do.
thing at a time. So this is public hearing actually literally means hearing.
No,
We,
this is
I'm sorry, comments. Sorry about that. No, shit. Yes, I got that. We don't generally, it's not a back and forth. Back and forth, send us emails. So is there a request was made, is there anybody that wants to comment? Nobody has to comment on Brian Granoff's commentary, but does anybody want to? You're taking it under advisement. You're good? Okay, so I do want to say a few things. This conversation about the street has been an open comment by way before this board. This conversation may not go from week to week to week. It's been around. Actually, it's been around since my kids were in La Brea. That would make it 12 to 14 years. It's not the first time it's being discussed. The entire street, as was described last week, is less than 100 yards in total length. The same cars will go one way or the other with the same emissions. It's a total population and it's the same cars. The problem is the traffic problem and a lot of the blind spots that are there. It has been a very busy intersection. It's also as the engineer talked about, the angle is very weird, gets even worse when it rains, gets even worse because it's a hill that goes flat and then another hill. And so the scenario goes on and on. I'm not sure we have a perfect solution for this. And we've gone back and forth on this conversation for a long time. And Deputy Mayor Lopez was here last week and didn't argue at all for or against any of this because not in writing after the meeting or anything else, because I think he was a little bit late. When the chief engineer said, we've looked at this and the officer mentioned it. At the end of the day, it's a very complicated intersection. If you know it and you look at it, there's just no great solution. So there are two options: to do absolutely nothing, which is what's been done in the past, and just leave it as is, or to make some changes as we have. Technically, it's not material beyond the board making decisions because it's street changes. I'm not even sure the board is always necessary in making this decision. I think the village manager actually, if I'm not mistaken, has a say.
Not for this change.
Oh, for this change, it requires the board, sorry. I just know it's been discussed a long time. I also don't think there's great solutions, but that doesn't mean that we do nothing when there are so many near misses and so many kids crossing that intersection and so many blind spots. So we will take it under advisement. I always appreciate the input. The only thing we're voting on is whether we want to close the hearing, correct? I've sort of lost track of where we are with this.
This is not a public hearing for
Right.
that resolution. That's a resolution you'd be voting on to make the street the one way.
I saw that coming.
That's what you would be voting on tonight.
Okay,
Is to make, because it is not one of the topics that the village manager has authority
right.
to do.
Well,
So
she
this
has
board-
in others, but the only question then becomes whether we want to vote yay, nay, or table is really, I think, the question here. So I'll take input from that. There's 4 of us here. There's a quorum. We can do that. Those are the options we have. I do, however, believe that the idea that the public has not been involved may seem like that to an individual. It is simply not accurate. And the fact that people in a community or in any neighborhood move around doesn't mean that people in that neighborhood have not comment on it directly with their representatives. Nor has it could or it could not. That happens in every neighborhood, and the streets do not belong to the people who live on that street. The streets belong to the entire community and frankly, everybody, because they're public streets. It is not a property. There's no borders of one group or another. It belongs to everybody. So we don't vote by neighborhoods on these topics because it just belongs frankly to everybody, and everybody's affected by what goes on there, including all the businesses that are there. So does anybody have an opinion of what they want to do, or do you want to go into a vote and decide whether you want to table?
Well,
or-
it's in
Yeah,
it's in the agenda later as a resolution.
no, I know, I'm just getting some input.
I should point out
as
something,
to,
Mayor,
Like what
just-
people want to do.
Just from a legal standpoint. The board has heard from the village engineer. The board has heard
Yep.
from Lieutenant Mayor Rana. The board is aware of issues at that intersection. Non-action by the board, and if there is a subsequent accident, the board is then on notice and could find itself, in fact, in a liability situation or failing to do something.
Yeah, but I think tabling is actually doing something, is it not?
No, because you're aware of the circumstance. And if you are, in fact, you have a recommendation to do something and you don't do it, you can decide not to do it.
Right, because that's
But if you're
taking an
not
action.
going to
Got
do it, you could create a problem for the board.
Okay. But was that oh, you're just raising your hand. Okay. All right, thank you. Jennifer Cabrera, I think you're on a different topic.
I
On the
am, thank
agenda.
you.
Sorry about the delay.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, I think this is a good conversation to have. That's a scary place to be in a vehicle. So I'm here actually talking about one of the resolutions that you all are voting on, which is a modification and amendment to the code for the CPCRB. As you all know, and hopefully most people know, I'm chair of that board. So I just wanted to come in and I know that there was some opposition to extending the provision that we have in the code that we're hoping to extend, that allows us to have an outside investigator for a very limited number of complaints. And I just want to remind folks, because there are a lot of new people in the community since this was originally passed and discussed. This provision came out of the working group that we did in 2020 and 2021 after the killing of George Floyd, where every municipality or every government entity that had a police department had to look at their police departments and recommend changes. And this was one of the changes. I was a part of that group, and this was one of the changes that I was actually very strongly in favor of as chair of the CPCRB, and that our members also are very much in favor of. When we are reviewing complaints, we are doing just that. We're reviewing complaints. We're reviewing the investigation that has been done by OPD. And I don't think there's a single person on our board who doesn't trust the work that our officers are doing when they do these investigations. But it is something that can be very intimidating for the people who are making complaints. It is a scary thing to do, to say, that a police officer did something that you feel was improper. And so one of the reasons that we have this, or the main reason that we have this provision, is to make sure that people feel like they can trust the process, because the idea of the police investigating the police, which is how it often gets phrased, is something that people find alarming. I don't think that there is a reason that we should not trust the work that our officers are doing. I think we've had really good experiences since I've been on the board, which is started in 2020. But I do think that this is a step in the right direction of making sure that everyone has trust in the process. And frankly, we haven't had an opportunity to actually try out using this outside investigator yet, because we haven't had a complaint that met the criteria since it has been put into the code. So I just really want to say, I think the reasons that this was added in the first place have not changed. I think it was a positive move, and I think it would be a positive move to extend it so that we can actually give it a test run, hopefully in the next year or two, and potentially be a model for other municipalities in our area. A lot of other municipalities are starting to create CCRBs. And most of those other municipalities in Westchester have been looking to us as a model because we've had one for so long. And I think this gives us a better opportunity to show different ways that a civilian review board can operate. So that is my comment.
Thank you. I appreciate your feedback. I just want to do the two headlines, which is we were one of the first communities to openly have this kind of committee. So I appreciate your comment about others are following, because I think that's very progressive. And the second one is the reason it hasn't been used is because there have not been any complaints that fit the criteria against the police for 2 years. The board can see an upside to that, they could see a downside to that, and vote appropriately and when the time comes. So appreciate the headlines. Anybody else have any comments on this? Okay.
Is there anybody else online? Okay.
No, there's not.
Okay, visitor recognition. Visitors are accorded a 3-minute opportunity to address the board on issues not relating to the agenda, but relevance to the good of this village. So I'm going to ask you to sign your name and your address when you come up, and then you can speak for your 3 minutes, okay?
Karen, you're doing the timing? Okay.
I'm David Abrams, the owner of the building next door at 12 Croton Avenue. And I'm here because of a problem we've been having with the Hispanic businesses, bars and restaurants, and the affected landlords. It's affected all of us severely, what's been going on this year. And I hope we can find a resolution soon.
I only have one question. We're not going to respond. We still have legal action in play, right?
Against some of the facilities, there are others have been resolved in our favor.
Okay.
Please put your name and your address, your home address, please.
My name is Carlos Espinal. I'm the owner for Alanti Bar, 84 Croton Avenue. We're here tonight because we need opportunity to reopen the business again. This business, my family, they needed like support. That's the only way that I got to support my family. I got 10 years in this place and we never have problems. We never got this situation. And please, we need an opportunity to reopen. I'm human. And I know we make a mistake. People make a mistake. And my condition is I'm gonna follow any rules. But I need an opportunity to reopen. Please.
Is there anybody online that wishes to speak on visitor recognition?
Not at this time.
I think,
Okay.
yeah. Anybody on the board have anything? Okay.
Okay, moving on to village board resolutions. I apologize, my paper is so thick. Approval of minutes, September 30th, 2024, resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Ossining hereby approves the minutes of the September 30th, 2024 regular meeting as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Any comments?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approval of,
Nope.
oh,
Were you,
You're abstaining. Okay,
okay, I'm,
Richie.
just make sure we serve three. Okay.
yeah. Okay. Okay, approval of minutes October 9th, 2024. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austining hereby approves the minutes of the October 9th, 2024 special meeting as presented. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Any comments?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, approval of voucher detail report. October 16th, 2024. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austining hereby approves the voucher detail report dated October 16th, 2024 in the amount of $1,057,769.92. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
All in
Any-
favor? Oh, sorry.
Sorry, any
Oh,
comments?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Adoption of local law 18, 2024, local laws of amending chapter 8, a civilian police complaint review board with the Village of Austining Code. Whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austining, the Village Board has been considering the adoption of proposed law to blank 2024 entitled the local law amending chapter 8 civilian police complaint review board and in the Village of Austining Code. And whereas the public hearing was conducted on September 30th, 2024 at 7:30 p.m. at the Municipal Building, 16 Croton Avenue, Austining, New York, and via Zoom platform affording members of the public the opportunity to be heard. And whereas the public hearing was closed on September 30th, 2024, and whereas there is no impediments of approving the proposed local law, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austining hereby adopts local law 18-2024, a local law amending chapter 8 civilian police complaint review board in the Village of Austining Code. And be it further resolved that local law 18-2024 shall be effective upon filing with the Secretary of State pursuant with municipal home rule law. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Comments? I didn't have a chance to read the whole thing. Is the time frame on this?
The local law, current local law expires on December 31st. This would then extend it till December 31st of 2026.
Okay. I'm gonna say it so it's memorialized. A lot of the conversation was that the 2 years, when this is up, if that would make it 4 years of this pilot of this particular thing. So just keep that in mind in your notes for 2 years from now, when it comes
Very
up.
good.
That that was part of the discussion, that we're doing one more round. It's not a forever, but whoever is sitting in these chairs, they'll decide, but somebody should memorialize that piece of the conversation.
Understood.
Sue?
This is a roll call vote. Trustee White,
Aye.
trustee Fritchie,
Aye.
trustee Casada.
Aye.
Mayor Levin.
Aye.
Okay. Extension of planned waterfront special permit for 30 Water Street. Whereas by resolution dated November 2nd, 2022, the Board of Trustees approved application of WPB Development LLC for a planned special waterfront permit for the property located on 30 Water Street. And whereas the resolution dated April 17th, 2024, the Board of Trustees granted a 6-month extension to the planned waterfront special permit on November 2nd, 2024. And whereas by correspondence dated October 2nd, 2024, counsel for the WPB Development LLC wrote to the Board of Trustees requesting a second 6-month extension on the planned waterfront special permit. And now therefore be it resolved that the application for a WPB Development LLC for the extension of the planned waterfront special permit is granted. And be it further resolved that the extension of the planned waterfront special permit is for 6 months commencing on November 3rd, 2024 and expiring May 2nd, 2025. And be it further resolved that requests for further extensions of the planned special waterfront permit shall be made on separate application to the Board of Trustees. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
My only comment is, I'm hoping this is it. Because I've been excited about this project and getting affordable housing in and moving forward.
The permits have actually been all prepared. They're
Okay,
actually with the title.
so any minute now, we can start seeing progress. Yay. Okay,
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Revision to the Village of Austin Code, Section 250-41, one-way streets. Whereas pursuant with the Vehicle Traffic Law 1640A, a legislative body of the village of the city or village with respect to highways in such city or village may by local law, ordinance, rule, or regulation designate any highway or separate roadway thereby a one-way for one-way traffic, and whereas section 250-7 of the village code states the streets or parts of the streets described in Schedule 4, 250-41 attached to be made in part of this chapter are hereby designated as one-way streets in the direction indicated, and whereas on the October 9th work session, the Board of Trustees continued its discussion regarding making Linden Avenue from Glen Street to Croton Avenue one-way, only proceeding northbound on Linden Avenue, with the Board of Trustees hearing from Village Engineer Frioli, Lieutenant Andrew
Mariano.
of the Austin Police Department, and now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees directs Schedule 6, one-way streets be amended for this name of the street is Linden Avenue, direction north from Croton Avenue to Glen Street. And then be it further resolved that the amendment to the Village Code, Section 250-41, Schedule 4, one-way streets shall be published in the village's official newspaper. I want to make a star on that. The week of October 21st, 2024, and be it further resolved that this amendment shall be filed with the village clerk, and be it further resolved that the revision to section 250-41, Schedule 4, one-way streets shall be effective Monday, December 9th, 2024. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments? The only comment, it's not going to be in the resolution, but there's a whole bunch of communications that have to occur. That'll be happening, from what I understand, November, and the police department is involved in that, right? You're going to put police cars, there's going to be coverage. So do we have a plan in that, or should we make this January 1st and not January 9th and not December 9th? I'm just saying, like, timing wise, there has to be enough time to educate people.
Well, I know that at the last meeting, the lieutenant was here in terms of there would be police presence at the location with the signage all put up. And again, what we're looking at is it's going to be in the paper the week of the 21st. So you have from then until December 9th. So you're basically looking at 6-7 weeks for
You guys
people to
can
be
meet that?
advised.
We have a lot of projects. We have a lot of stuff. What we control is timing. Okay. I also noticed Deputy Mayor's on. Just give me a thumbs up that you
Yeah.
can hear us.
I can hear you.
Omar, you're good? You're hearing
Yep.
all of this? Okay, I know you've been
Indeed,
on
yep.
for about 10 minutes, if I'm not mistaken,
Mhm.
when I looked up. So, okay. Sue?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
He's voting remotely, right?
I'm sorry, I wanted to make a comment. I'm
Oh,
going to
I
vote.
didn't know that. I'm
Yeah, I'm
sorry.
sorry. I'm going to vote aye, but I do hope that the effects on the surrounding streets is negligible and that we'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah. As we've done with Spring Street for years, going back and forth every time we look at development, we look at the decisions. There are just a few streets that follow that circumstance. They're complicated. Things change, we look at them. So I think that's a great point that needs to be memorialized. So
Aye,
everybody
aye.
voted aye for the records for the count.
Okay. Fire Department appointments. Austin Hose Company number 1, resolved that upon recommendation of the Fire Chief, Victor,
Yasentile.
thank you, Austin, New York, was elected as active member of the Austin Fire Hose, Austin Hose Company number 1 for interior firefighting. Do I have a motion?
Second.
I don't think there are any comments, Sue.
All in favor?
Aye.
Just wanted
Yeah,
to make sure.
everybody.
I
He
wanted to
said
make sure
aye.
it's aye,
Yeah.
Continuing business of the board, resolution to urge EPA to adopt a non-protective determination for its third 5-year review concerning the Hudson River PCB cleanup. Whereas the Hudson River is a American Heritage River and the Hudson River Valley is a National Heritage Area, the health and beauty of the Hudson River is critical
for the economic vitality of the communities surrounding it, including and particularly the village of Ossining. And whereas in 2002, the EPA selected a two-part cleanup plan to address in-river sediments, in-river sediments in the upper Hudson River, a 40-mile stretch of the Hudson River between Fort Edward and Federal Dam at Troy, which called for targeting dredging of PCB contaminated sediment from the river bottom, following by an extension period of natural recovery. And whereas on July 10th, 2024, the EPA released its draft of the third 5-year review, concluding that the EPA needs more years of fish data to determine if the cleanup is meeting the expectations of the original cleanup plan. And whereas the EPA's draft third 5-year review report does not adequately address the scientific data and analysis to show that there has been little improvement in fish and sediment PCB concentration since the completion of the dredging. And now therefore be it resolved, the Village of Ossining hereby urges the EPA to adopt the non-protective determination in the third 5-year review and acknowledge the failure of the Upper Hudson River remedy to meet the goals and objectives of the cleanups. The EPA must begin the process of assessing additional remedial actions to protect the environment and our vulnerable communities along the Hudson River, who will otherwise continue to be exposed to toxic levels of PCBs, for generations to come. And be it further resolved, a copy of this resolution will be sent to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, the New York State Governor Kathy Hochul, the New York State Office of the Attorney General, and the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Comments, new comments? Comments? I'll only say that this, we do not, have jurisdiction. This is a state issue, but we have a number of environmental groups that asked us for support. The town is also in the support of this, to urge, the EPA, which is a federal agency, to reconsider some of its action and understand that there's support locally. Sue?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Crest grant, 2 hybrid vans. Whereas the New York State Senator Peter Harcum has requested that the Village of Ossining submit a proposal to the Community Resiliency, Economic Sustainability and Technology CREST grant for a total of $100,000 to purchase 2 hybrid vans to be used by the Ossining Youth Bureau, enable youth participation on off-site programs and events. And whereas the CREST application requires a letter stating that the Village of Ossining will cover any costs of this project that exceed $100,000. Now therefore be it resolved, the Village of Ossining the Village Board of Trustees authorizes the village manager to sign a letter stating that the Village of Ossining will cover any cost of this project to exceed $100,000, but not more than $15,000.
115.
So for a total project cost of $115,000. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Any comments?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Any new business of the board?
I don't think we have, do we have exec? Okay.
So I ask for an adjournment for the board,
So move.
motion for adjournment.
Second.
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, 8:25 may be an all-time end date, especially without executive. I do want to encourage folks to participate in the budget hearing. They are open to the public. There will be 4 or 5 days in a row almost, I think. Am I right, village manager, for this?
Post the dates. So
The
public
dates, yeah,
has them.
we already, we're gonna post the dates, mayor message and a whole bunch of other places. So I look forward to those. Next week, we are here, correct? Because we've now been here 3 times, so I think it's confusing. So we'll be here same time as usual. I wish everybody a good weekend. Have a good evening. It is 8:26. Have a good evening.